Toronto Maple Leafs have made multiple moves ahead of tomorrow night's big game, as well as some major injury updates, most specifically surrounding Anthony Stolarz. We have a surprising update on his front, as well as some more information surrounding Matthew Knies. So a bunch to go over today, but before we get into it, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you're part of the 70% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content, and there's going to be a lot coming. And again, I'm in Toronto right now, so bear the camera setup, and it's freezing cold, so I'm wearing my jacket for this video, so bear with that. But let's dive right into it, Darius. There's a lot of things to go over, and most importantly, we have some updates surrounding Matthew Knies, of course, but Anthony Stolarz is a very surprising update in his front. But let's start with Max Domi. So you can see this here, and this is kind of Max Domi and Matthew Knies. So Max Domi is wearing the blue top 6 sweater at practice, which means he is going to be promoted to that top 6 because Matthew Knies is going to be out tomorrow with an upper body injury. So Matthew Knies, who skated before, is not taking part in practice. So it seems like, he's not going to play tomorrow. We have the lines to go over a bit later, but we kind of predicted this. We were hoping he was going to be good for tomorrow. They're taking it, very cautious with him, and he's going to be out for a little bit, at least tomorrow's game, probably the next one as well.
Yeah, before we get to some good news, obviously you got to go through this. We were saying yesterday, still kind of up in the air because, the language that was being used, it seemed like maybe he could miss a game or two, or maybe, he wouldn't miss a game at all. Maybe he's going to play Saturday, but it's looking like that's unlikely at this point. He's probably not going to play against Ottawa, and that is upsetting because he's been having a really good stretch here since he was called out by Craig Berube just maybe, a month ago, a couple of weeks ago. He's been putting in some really good minutes and playing some really good hockey, and he's well on his way, I think, to 30 goals this season, which is really impressive. And again, it looks like he's going to be out tomorrow, which is not great, but he was on the ice. He was skating, so it doesn't seem like it's anything serious, and he should be returning probably next week.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity now for Max Domi to come in, step up, and hopefully start playing a little bit better. Been pretty disappointing this season thus far. And I want to start with this here. So you have the lines at practice today. So you have McMahon, Matthews, Marner. So McMahon is actually replacing Matthew Knies. They promoted Max Domi to the second line. So Domi, Holmberg, Nylander. Lawrence now on the third line with Kampf and Robertson. And you also have Jacob Quillen in with Minton and Reeves with Connor Dewar out. Multiple moves here. Some of them a little bit surprising. So signs are pointing to Quillen making his Leafs debut for this season. On the fourth line, you have Steven Lorentz being promoted, which actually makes sense, but you also have David Kampf now promoted onto the third line as well with Nick Robertson. And then you have McMahon and Holmberg. You've seen McMahon play the first line. He, has been fairly good on that. I like that maneuver. There's also some, interesting power play changes as well, but we'll start with these changes. Very different than literally a week ago. So now you have John Tavares out, you have Matthew Knies out, you have different guys moving in different places. So do you have any thoughts on this? I don't hate it, but I also I don't think I love it either at this point.
I think they're making do with what they have at this point in time. McMahon has earned the promotion. If Matthew Knies was still in the lineup, obviously he wouldn't be there, but McMahon is the guy to move up. He's been playing really, really well. And, when you look at the second line, it's going to be interesting. There's no real defense on that line. Maybe Holmberg can provide some, but that's going to be high flying tomorrow. I don't know how that's going to fare for them. And then, there's not much to be made out of Jacob Quillen. I think he'll probably, I was just thinking earlier, maybe he's going to make his way up onto the third line, depending how the game goes. Maybe Lorentz will come down. But, I think he's going to stick on the fourth line. I don't think we're going to see the fourth line a lot. Obviously, Reeves plays 5 minutes a game, right? So it's probably going to be him and Quillen down there 5-6 minutes a game tomorrow. And you probably won't see much of them. So it's going to be a big game for the top guys. How much ice time does Matthews, Marner, Nylander, these guys get tomorrow? How much ice time does Domi see? I think it's going to be interesting to see, who really surprises tomorrow, who comes to play, because Ottawa's desperate. They're in the mix here with probably 6 other teams right now for that final wild card spot, or the 2 wild card spots, I should say. So they're a desperate team. They want to win, and the Leafs are going to have to weather the storm here, and they have the tools to do it. I just want to see if they can do it. That third line I'm looking at specifically, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, not much offensive firepower there besides, in theory, Nick Robertson. Regarding the blue line, you have Riley McCabe, OEL10, have Benoit, Philip Myers factors back in, and Connor Timmins is out, which makes sense because he's been really, really bad. And you also see Anthony Stolarz there at the bottom. And the update surrounding him is that he's officially back in practice for the first time in over a month. But most importantly, a couple different things. So obviously we'll get back to Matthew Knies in a minute here, but Anthony Stolarz might be ahead of schedule for his return. Craig Berube said, I don't think it will be a whole lot longer. He's in a good spot right now, maybe a little ahead of schedule. I'm not exactly sure on that, but I don't think it's going to be a whole lot longer. So this is very good news, very encouraging. There's a chance he's back next week. Again, the timeline was 4 to 6 weeks. He's now approaching the 4-week, mark. There's a good world where he is, there's a good chance that he is back fairly soon, which means that Matt Murray, might only get, not Matthew, Matt Murray might only get one start with the Toronto Maple Leafs, depending how much they play Joseph Woll here, maybe a couple. So kind of coincides with the move they made yesterday surrounding Dennis Hildeby and things like that. But this is some very good news for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It's great news. I mean, he's making good time. Obviously, they were right on with their prediction, I guess, whatever you want to call it, or their timetable. Obviously, Berube came out today and said, he's not going to give you like a starting date. Like Anthony Stolarz is back on this day. He still needs to practice with the team, get into a full practice. But at the time of recording this too, Darren Dreger came out and said that it's looking like 5 to 7 days away. So he's going to be back within the next week. He could be playing next Saturday, right? So I wonder if Matt Murray even gets a start. He might just be up to see what happens, or if something happens with Joseph Woll, right? So we'll see what happens with that. And it's looking like Stolarz could return as early as next Saturday, which I think is really encouraging for the Leafs. It's earlier, actually, than we all imagined. I think you hear 4 to 6 weeks, you're probably thinking, it could linger. It could be in the 5-week range, something like that. So he's made good time. He's progressed really well. He's on the ice practicing with them today. So he's nearing a return. He just needs to get into a full practice and skate with them. So I think that's great. And again, he's been their starter this season. I'm excited to see what he can do when he comes back. And not only that, he's going to come back for a little bit, then he's going to get another break, which I think is nice with the Four Nations face-off. So I think they're going to be ready to rock in the second half, or we're already over the second half, but they're going to be ready to rock right after the Four Nations Cup here.
Yeah, and they desperately need him back. He is probably still, I think, going to factor himself into being the 1A goalie for this team, which is obviously going to be critical going forward, especially as Joseph Woll, again, he's already played the most games in any season. He's going to continue to do that. He's going to continue to play. He plays tomorrow night. And going back to the lines a little bit here, a couple things I want to touch on. Obviously, you have Hakanpää, Timmins out. But regarding the power plays, you would now have Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Domi, McMahon with Riley, OEL, Nylander, Robertson, and Minton. Now, this is a little bit interesting, and Minton plays again, this time on the fourth line. Again, like we mentioned, the third line is going to be something to watch. I think McMahon's going to fit perfectly in the first line, but regarding the power play unit, it's been absolutely terrible. Now you have no defenseman on the first power play. They've been rocking the 5 forwards, and you have Riley and OEL on the same power play line on the second.
Yeah, they're going back to the 5 forward thing, which hasn't really worked. I think they got to blow it up, really. Like, try something that they just have not tried before. I still don't understand why OEL's not in that spot. Marner's really hit and miss at the point there for me, because most people know that he's not going to shoot, right? And then when he does, it works, like against Tampa Bay, where the puck gets to the net, Knies puts it in. Knies is not there, obviously injured, so you get Domi put in on that spot, which I think is interesting. Like, I don't really necessarily understand that move. Maybe somebody else could have went there, maybe Minton, I don't know. But again, they're low on personnel right now, a lot of injuries again that they're dealing with. So it's pretty interesting. I want to see how it works out, but I hope that they change it in game. I hope they adjust if it doesn't work the first time around, because you don't know what you're getting game to game. They're going to try the 5 forward thing again. Marner, you don't know what you're going to get from him game to game on the power play. Like I said, Monday he's throwing the pucks to the net. Knies is cleaning up the garbage. It works. It looks great. And then the other night, it doesn't look so great because they're not shooting. They're passing around the perimeter. So I want to see what they're going to be able to do with this. And I hope that they make changes and adjustments on the fly if it's not working right away, because don't let it get to the point where, you're going into the third period again without a goal and you've had 3 power plays already where you could have had a chance to score. So I'm interested to see how the game's going to go tomorrow.
Yeah, big game tomorrow against the Ottawa Senators. Some interesting timelines. The Leafs are finally starting maybe a little bit better with those. But either way, that'll wrap it up. Let us know down below what your thoughts are. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.